Hello, 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 everyone. Good afternoon here in Chicago. Good evening in other parts of the world, Africa, and other places ahead of us. How are you guys doing? Welcome back to another powerful edition of Lights 360. So excited to be back again today with Light 360. We took a break last week. It's always good to take a break, guys. Don't overwork yourself. take some time to rest. I just felt last week that what I need to take some time off. So but excited to be back today. We have a very short week today because in the United States, we have the Thanksgiving holiday on Friday, Saturday, and all that. So we're just going to be having two guests this week, but it is going to be powerful. We have some power-packed, discussions, that you guys are going to be treated to. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. Please share this video, like this video, wherever you're watching from. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. It's youtube.com/PastorLan. If you're watching on Instagram, Pastor Lan, Facebook at Pastor Lan, like the page, Twitter at Pastor Lan. Follow me on Twitter so that you can get notification on these shows, and like it and make comments. We will be able to interact with your comments on some of the channels, not almost all of them, as we go on in this discussion today. So please try and just post something and let us know where you're watching from and what you are getting from the show today. All right, so with that out of the way, I want us to have as much time as we can have with our guest for today. So I'm going to be bringing her on. So today I'm going to be having another light on today. She is a shining light in our sphere of influence. I have known her for many years. I'm sure over 10 years now that I have known her. She is a member of the City Light Church, serves in the City Light Church. She's a leading light alumnus also. She is a very bright, smart, one of the smartest people that I know. It's like they manufacture them in their family, like smart people in their family. Like they give them extra smart. So she's very smart, and her passion is in the healthcare industry, and she just wants to revolutionize it, especially for the developing world. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a daughter of God, and I'm so glad to have her on today. So without any more ado, let me welcome to Light 360 today, Miss Dr. I must say Miss, Dr. Onyinye Daniel. welcome, Onyinye. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for making the time. I know you are at work, so you just yeah. But this is work. They tell you at work, and why are you doing? Just saying this is part of work. This is work.
Yeah.
So, but welcome. Great to have you around.
Thank you.
Cool. So how are you feeling? How is Thanksgiving? How are you preparing for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Well, this year, because of COVID, it's going to be lower key than what we usually do, which is a large family gathering, family, friends, so much food, all types of food. But this year we're scaling it down to, do our part to prevent the spread of COVID.
I know. Are you telling me that some people are gonna miss that, like peace? She's gonna miss all the food that she usually goes to eat every year.
we might make an exception, especially for peace. We make an exception
because I know she has been dreaming about it.
Yes, peace comes every year, and every year it's a blast. So we will consider
I
it
trust peace.
definitely be an
Anywhere
exception for her.
there is good food, she'll be there.
Yes, yes, all kinds of jollof
Awesome.
rice, fish, pounded yam, a turkey somewhere there.
That's where I want to be now.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so tell us, so who are you? Who is, Onyinye? Just give us a little bit more insight into yourself.
Yeah, I mean, after, of course, being created by God, I am an Igbo woman, first and foremost,
Mm,
after that. And I say that and prioritize it because I believe that there's a purpose for why God creates and places us in the sphere or environment that He places us. There's a
mm,
specific purpose, and
yeah.
so I never take that for granted. It's something that I prioritize within myself and with my family.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and the expectation is that my children will prioritize it as well. So I'm an Igbo woman.
mm-hmm,
Um, and then after that, I am a truth teller.
mm,
I am someone who is radically committed to the truth, especially when it's inconvenient and when it's painful,
mm,
because I think that's where growth lives.
mm,
Um, I am a firecracker at times.
mm,
I I can be very direct, but whatever I do is out of love.
mm,
But I'm very direct. I'm very good about boundary setting, um, and I'm also someone with a vision. I
mm,
like to see. Um, I can see things and connect them
mm,
together and see the full picture without having to put the effort. And I think that's one of my gifts. I know it's one of my gifts, strongest gifts, the ability to see and connect dots that are, seemingly disconnected and see
mm,
the vision.
mm,
Um, and that allows me to be able to think strategically. So I
mm,
know that, so I consider that part of me, an intrinsic part of me, and one of the gifts that, God gave me. And so because of that, I recognize it. Um, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I am a vessel to proliferate everything that was invested in me from
mm.
my parents and my grandparents. And
Yes.
so, in that sense, I have a big job to do and I prioritize it above even career, everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
I
a
think
lot.
that's me.
That's a lot to dig into. You just get some materials,
Uh, you
So
asked me
first
who
of all,
I am, so
yeah. So first of all, you are a daughter of God, you said, and then you are an Igbo woman. So let's start
yes.
from the daughter of God aspect of that. Tell us a little bit about that. Just your relationship with God. Your story in that area. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um, my relationship with God, I experience God within.
mm,
And even in circumstances where I would want to not acknowledge that He's there, He's there.
mm,
I think there's a depth of experience that, you know, that I have the privilege, I consider it, to experience that the way that God speaks to me is something that I didn't really learn. It's something that I grew into and had to understand once
mm,
I was mature enough and old enough to kind of grow into it. But I realized today that He has spoken to me in this way since I can remember.
mm,
And so because of that, having that realization as I grew and matured,
mhm,
to my current state, I cannot say that I could never deny the power of God, although I could feel like I would prefer not to have it there because there's accountability there.
mhm,
So when God speaks, my internal, my heart knows it, my mind knows it,
Mm,
and my subconscious definitely knows it.
mm.
And it manifests in what I do.
Okay.
So I have learned to submit to that. That's my experience of God. And,
Mm,
I don't see myself as kind of a conventional
mm-hmm,
Christian.
mm-hmm,
I There's some things that I don't really connect with in like the day-to-day typical. And when I say typical, I'm making broad generalizations, but I understand there's nuance. Everybody has their nuance. But
mm-hmm.
because I experience God in that way, it's an intrinsic presence that's there, that even if I want to disconnect it, I can distance myself from it, but at the end of the day, I can never disconnect, and that his presence never leaves.
Okay.
And that's the relationship. Now, of course, as a child, in our household, mommy
Mm-hmm.
and daddy, 6 a.m. every morning without fail, um, prayer time, except on Thursdays, which we used to be happy about because that was the day we did our own prayer. But really, it meant that we could sleep in for an extra 30 minutes
Are
on
you telling
Thursday
me? Are
mornings.
you telling me the way my kids are feeling right now?
If they're anything like we were,
That
that Thursday was like vacation day because we don't have to
would
sing
that would be Saturday.
all Saturday. Oh no,
Yes.
Saturday we had to still be up because we had to clean the whole house and do everything. I mean, you know how it is. Um, but I think then it was the application of my parents' spiritual, relationship with God that manifested in our activity, like going to church, going to, church activities and things like that. But and I was saved at I think age 8, but I
Mm,
can't really say that I had a relationship because
mm,
I was under my parents' covering,
yeah.
and I wasn't manifesting God's
Mm,
presence within me. I was
mm,
under the covering of my parents, and I was happy.
mm,
Yes, they're praying all day, all night. And so I had to mature into, what God, and I already used to have dreams and everything back then, but again, it's a growth and evolving into who I am today and understanding that, the
mm,
depth of the connection with God is
mm,
something that cannot be broken, and it's something that can't be manufactured, and
mm,
it's something that, you just succumb to it and allow it to manifest in everything that I'm doing. So that's kind of the relationship, and it
mm.
hasn't always been easy. I think my childhood being so awesome. I mean, my parents, hats off. I mean, honestly, they raising 6 children in America,
Mm,
coming here with no mother to watch your children while you're working, both of them in school, working full time, raising 6 children, and doing it well to
mm,
the extent that I cannot even look back to say, they didn't really do a good job, even as an adult.
mm.
The principles that they lived by, um, you know, I don't know, there's just no
Yeah,
substitute for
it's
that
obvious
type.
that your parents, like your upbringing, your parents and all that, they've had a major impact on you. I remember when I forgot to mention that you're also a twin.
Yes.
Your sister was on earlier, Amara.
Mhm.
Um, when I was talking to her too, I noticed that the upbringing was a major factor. Can you as a parent right now, somebody who is raising up kids and all that, what are some things you picked up? And for some parents that are watching, what are some things you picked up from your parents in the way they
Mhm.
raised you that you feel is transferable that can help people? Yeah, go ahead.
So many things. The first, aside from, developing or trying, putting in the effort to help us develop our own relationship with God, is the knowledge of self.
Mm,
That is, to me, one of the most significant investments that my parents made. And I don't know how they did it,
mm,
but they made absolutely sure that you know who you are, you know where you belong in this world, you
mm,
know your value, you know what you're capable of. there's absolutely no limit to what you want to do, what you choose to do, whatever you do. There's absolutely no limit. You are just as capable, if not more so, than anyone there. And that knowledge of self, I think, that security, that esteem, that pride, even again, going back to culture, like we know our ancestors. You know that your great grandmother, started a war or helped start a war. And she's a woman, there's no limitation. That the discipline that didn't go into abuse, because there's a type of discipline that is meted out that can lead to a breaking down of someone's character or someone's soul or someone's sense of self. But somehow their discipline was a building up. It was a crafting. It was a molding. It was a hard and very difficult way to train. It was training. You were trained. And so that discipline was critical. That sense of self, knowledge of who you are, where no external force can chip away at that. You go into any room, your presence is there. You are fully there as an individual. You don't have pieces missing where someone has to come in and you look for this person to this person for some validation here. You look to something there. You're a fully integrated human being wherever you go, and you walk in that knowledge. And that goes along with integrity. And then just seeing the effort that they put in. They were not lazy parents. My parents, having fought in Civil War, coming to the US, they picked us up, dropped us off. My mom cooked all the time. And this is without, no hate to anyone who has their mom there. That's great. It's a blessing. But this is without mommy there. This is a new immigrant. Cooking, cleaning, just reasoning and lecturing, the hour-long lectures, the critical thinking, all of those things, even the things that we didn't really understand, like being outside constantly, the loosening of the leash a little bit so we had independence to learn how to make our own decisions as opposed to hovering and saying, oh, you got to be in 20 different activities. I mean, back then it was either church activities or some Nigerian or Igbo activities. That was it outside of school. They didn't feel like we had to be doing everything at the same time, because there's a character in being bored, and it builds you up so that you don't become bored as an adult regularly, So we learned reading and making our own, using our imaginations. And even back then, I remember when Daddy would come home, when we'd hear that Volvo coming in the driveway, everybody was scattered, it was like a fear, but it grew into respect. We're not gonna, and you're not gonna be sitting down. Like, if you're not reading something, doing something, go and read a book. Go and do something, productive. And it was all done with love, and they are just honest people. Like, they just have integrity. So you would never see them like bad mouthing people or doing things that can chip away at someone's sense of character and how they develop and how they relate to people. At least I never saw them do anything like that. And so that really has shaped the way I do everything. And it shaped the way I, we raise our children. That sense of self, to me, what I've seen in college, amongst peers, you can have a really tough time if you don't have that. During a period of time when you're gaining your independence and getting to kind of be on your own. So I have a laser focus on that, the discipline, the knowledge of self, who you are, your history, your family, integrity. Absolutely, I don't mess with it. Truth telling. I encourage truth telling when your heart is in pain. A radical commitment to the truth. I will die for the truth. My kids know I will die for the truth.
Mm.
I'm that passionate about it. I will die telling the truth,
Mm.
you know. And so that's the energy that I bring and we bring as parents to, you know, invest in these children
Mm-hmm.
so that we can, you know, continue to pass down the investments that were made in us, just as my parents were passing down the
Yeah.
investments that were made in them from generation to generation.
Very good. Wow. Awesome. An awesome tribute to your parents too. Wonderful. I know them very well. Wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, they love you too.
Yeah, I love them. You know, they are one of my heroes in Chicago. So they know that.
Oh.
And we have our WhatsApp secret communication. So that you guys don't know. You guys don't know about. So
Yeah.
now we're still gonna come back a little bit in your story, but I want us to go to now. What do you do now?
Oh, so now I lead data and analytics strategy. So I'm senior director of data and analytics strategy for Healthcare Services Corporation, which is the Blue Cross Blue Shields of Illinois, New Mexico, Texas, Montana, and Oklahoma. So that all 5 of those states make up HCSC. So I lead data and analytics strategy for that organization. We have about 20,000 some odd employees. I primarily, aside from leading data and analytics strategy, I um, am responsible for portfolio integration for the data and analytics portfolio. I also lead public policy. So all of these legislations that are coming down the pipeline that have to do with data, one, you know, such as interoperability, price transparency, transparency coverage, I, you know, lead those and help drive those public policy initiatives in the organization. I also lead the social determinants of health initiatives for data and analytics and for the enterprise. So kind of, you know, working towards creating a data marketplace that contains data that's representative of our communities, because I think, you know, I strongly believe that data is a currency
Yeah.
and data tells a story.
Yeah.
And, you know, historically, groups who have not been represented in the data are not telling the story. It's a form of power, essentially. And
Yeah.
so one of the primary things that I've committed to and I've been very dedicated to is ensuring that we are creating a data marketplace that allows us to reflect our communities, the communities that we serve, to help address health inequities.
Yeah.
And I'm very intentional about that. I sit on the Enterprise Health Equity Committee under Dr. Derek Robinson, who is a renowned chief medical officer at HCSC. And then I also sit on the Institute for Physician Diversity, which is an executive committee that is also geared towards increasing representation of physicians in medicine from medical school through the attending. And so I'm very committed to that work. And then aside from that, just all of the, you know, business, I'm responsible for business operations, so our marketing communications, and really kind of mapping out under the leadership of Rob Lowe, mapping out the data and analytics strategy for the enterprise, as well as our external partnerships and relationships.
Wow. Well,
I'm also an adjunct professor in the Department
yeah.
of Health Policy and Administration.
Which school are you an adjunct professor?
The University of Illinois, Chicago, in the School of
Okay.
Public Health.
All right. Awesome. I wanted to summarize for people, you know, that they found it difficult to, you know, just catch up with everything that you are. That this simple thing is that she's a big deal. She's a very big deal. Like we call them Oga at the top, you know.
Working on it. Not there yet.
She's a very big deal, you know. Because you want to recount everything. You know, she's making an impact in that world, scientific world, healthcare world. I remember when I think we were doing our PhD around the same time, right? I think when I defended, you defended shortly after or something like that.
Yeah, I think September 2015, I think I defended.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I did my own, I think around July or something. But I remember that we were both talking then. Yeah. Cool. So she's a PhD among, you know, other stuff. So she's really making an impact, and there's a lot of things that God has brought to her mind that we're going to talk about. What is coming in the future. But there are some questions that came in while you were talking. So,
okay,
from Quiet World Observer. So this Quiet World
okay.
Observer. The first one is that curious. How did your parents manage to raise you with such a deep sense of self and critical thinking, self-sufficiency, discipline, integrity, and so on? So, and then this seems too much, especially combining with love. Then she has the second question, I think. Could some of these have been what you picked up along the way? I don't want to reduce their credit, but what will be really fantastic, but that would be really fantastic to reproduce your parents in today's world. So basically, she wants to know this, the secrets, of your parent. You told us what they did, but you didn't tell us how they did it. And then she's saying, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The secrets, only God knows. God is, whatever he directed them to do, I believe is what they did. And I mean, it's not the best answer, but it's the truth. Because today I still don't know how. I don't know how that was possible. And so I know that there was some significant grace there for them to even be able to manage and do all the things they did and invest. I mean, some of the things that they did, it's the constant daily investment. It is the daily reinforcement of principles, not just in what they said, but what they did. So they didn't just talk at us and say, do this, but then they're doing something else, or go here and they're going, they spoke it, they lived it, they breathed it, and they taught it, and they enforced it. And because of that, there was no escape. And that's critical, because when I think back to childhood, there are so many ways that this could have gone south. I mean, I've been in situations where a childhood friend I'm close with, she smokes weed, she's involved in other things. And in the midst of that, we're still close. I never smoked weed, I didn't get involved in those things, but somehow that's where, again, I think that knowledge of self really kicks in, when you can be in the midst of, things that probably aren't in your best interest, or that are not aligned with what your parents are teaching you, and still be fully in their line of teaching. I think that's where it comes in. It's the daily investment. It's not in the activities. It's not in the going to vacations, because the truth of the matter is that how many times we never went to Disney World? We didn't do all those things. I mean, aside from going to Nigeria, I mean, how many times I can count going to, it's not in the vacations. It's not in the, buying. We wore clothes from the thrift store. It took me until age maybe 33. And my husband had to kind of snap me out of it to really even break out of the cheapness of, well, why do the kids need this? We can go to the thrift store and get I mean, it's good for them. It's good. It builds character. So it's the daily reinforcement of living, breathing, teaching, and reinforcing that did the trick. And it actually kind of worked. The problem that I had was the opposite, in that I think they did such a good job that as an adult, it took me, being a full adult, I'm talking about past age 30, before I understood that there are people in this world who are not what they appear to be. It was a major shock and the foundation for what I would consider like an existential crisis. I mean, because I'm so aligned, that integrity is so important and it's just effortless, I project that on everyone I meet. I project that. And when I realized that there are people who can be a certain way one way and then be a certain way another. I was mind blown. I think it took me about 2 solid years to get over it, and I still today.
You were living in a bubble.
It was it was a major bubble. I didn't know it was possible. Now, it didn't mean I wasn't street smart, because I was definitely street smart. Again, when you know who you are, you know how to move. You know how to navigate. When you see things, you connect dots. You're not gonna. Your judgment is sound. And when you're confident in decision and you know you're squaring up after you've made a decision, you own it. That means you own every consequence that comes with the decision. So once you've accepted that, then you know how to navigate. But it definitely was sort of a bubble of character where I didn't realize certain things. And that was probably what, one of God's lessons. All right, you've been coasting, basically. Now I'm going to show you what reality looks like. So.
Okay. Well, as a parent, I can identify, with, what some of the things that you are talking about. I mean, I've had, there's a particular mentor parent of mine also, again, that I've asked that question before. Was one of my professors in school, Professor Kende. Some of you, people watching might know his children, like wrote to me. I've asked him, I say, how did you do it? All your kids are this. They always say, I don't know, that they don't know that it's the grace of God. That's what they say. It's just the grace of God. Sometimes it's just hard to say it's because of this or because of that. Because there are some parents that did exactly that. And the kids did not turn out the way that they expected. Parent did, they kept their kids out of so many things. They thought they did whatever, and the kids still, go ahead and, they become somebody else. So, what you said about that it is God. One thing I know about your parents is that they are prayerful.
Yes.
They are, even up until now, they are very prayerful people.
Yeah.
So it is, and I want to say that to all the parents that are watching, that the two biggest investments that you can make in your children: one, your example; two, your prayers.
Yep.
Your examples and your prayers.
Yes.
Those are the two biggest that you can make. Now, the rest, sending them, some people went to public schools, some people went to private schools, some people go to, all kinds of things. Some people were kept at home, but the way to, all those, But, with all those other variables, if you make those two things constant, the example, the prayer, putting them in God's hands, all those other things will pan out, work out. God will send right influences and, all kinds of things. So I just want to use that to encourage parents that just be true to your parenting. And when I say example, it doesn't mean that you're perfect, because I know your parents were not perfect. And I know there are things that you might not even know, because parents will keep things from our kids that they are not, they're not privy to. So, but one thing about, being an example is even to be able to come before your children when you make a mistake and say, you know what, I messed up, I'm sorry. Or, just being real and being yourself. They know that, you are real, you are yourself and all that. Yeah. I think that is a key to parenting. So
I apologize to my kids. There are times when I've said, Ozzy, who did the, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. You know what? I'm sorry I said that. I thought you did it, but now I know you didn't. There's a humility that's necessary in all of this.
Yeah.
I think apologizing to my kids, while, because they already recognize the boundaries. So just know that I'm apologizing, but that doesn't mean we're not mates. Yeah. So they recognize the boundary, but apologizing to them and letting them see what that looks like in practice, that you're never too big to apologize, that it's part of being human. When you've done something wrong, specifically, if you've hurt someone, I definitely have apologized many times, and I don't hide certain things. When my daughter asked me, have you ever gotten a C? I say, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In calculus, I got a C.
Yeah.
She's shocked. Like,
Yeah.
You got a C? Yeah. Yes, I did. I
Mm-hmm.
realized though that the way I felt when I got the C, the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I felt that way is because I knew that I hadn't done my best. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I did my best, I
Mm-hmm.
got a B.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
I didn't get my first A in math until my PhD program.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I tell the truth, and because I want them to know that your value doesn't diminish when you make a mistake.
Yeah.
Rather, it's part of your humanity. And
Yeah.
the real rounding out of your humanity is being able to acknowledge it,
Mm-hmm.
own it,
Mm-hmm.
sit in whatever that feeling that it gives you because there's a lesson there, and
Yeah.
then rectify it and
Yeah.
try to do better the next time. That's where your humanity is. That's where your growth is. It's not that you made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to teach that to them rather than wanting them to think that I got all A's. Oh, but you're a doctor. How did you do this?
Mm-hmm.
No, I made plenty of mistakes. And I tell them today I'm making mistakes. Remember yesterday when I accused you of doing XYZ? So I tell them and I reinforce that so that they know that the growth is in the humanity. And the humanity is rooted in the humility, and it's rooted in love, and it's rooted in the knowledge that your value doesn't diminish when you
Mm-hmm.
make a mistake and when you fail.
Yeah.
Um,
Very good.
so
Very good. Wow. Wow. This has been an awesome parenting class by osmosis.
parenting by osmosis.
Well, P said they will, they're going to ask your parents to write a book. I think it's going to be a powerful book that all of us can learn from. I wanted to say shout out to Florence from South Africa. She was one of our leading light hosts in South Africa. So yesterday was her birthday. Happy birthday, Florence.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And then let me see. I think Joyce was saying, what are some examples of self-affirming things they did? I know you even tell your daughter that it's okay to cry and be emotional. You
Mhm.
know. Yeah.
Um, just I don't know how I would frame it back then because we didn't really know the language of self-affirming.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I manifested that I teach my daughter. One of my daughters is more intuitive and emotional, and she can be very emotional. So what I teach her, because I know I'm also very intuitive and can
Mhm.
be emotional, is that it is okay to feel the emotions that you feel. She's
Mhm.
crying up and down. It bothers me, but at the same time, because I can relate, I tell her it's okay. You are
Mhm.
entitled to feel what you feel. You are allowed to feel it because in feeling it, it it reinforces your knowledge of who you are and how you relate, how you adapt in situations. I said, but
Mhm.
what you're responsible for is your reaction and your response. So you can
Mhm.
feel whatever you're gonna feel, but you're gonna be respectful. You don't
Mhm.
get to, flare your arm. You don't get to do all those things.
Mhm.
So I don't disassociate the emotion, her internal world, or any of my children, their internal world from their behaviors.
Mhm.
I want them to integrate their
Mhm.
internal world with their behaviors because that's the integrity that's necessary for you to be whole. And
Mhm.
so I don't want any of my children to grow up thinking that they had to disassociate their emotions from their
Mhm.
actions, when really you integrate your emotions with your actions and your behaviors, and that becomes your response.
Mhm. Mhm.
So my parents, I mean, I don't really remember them. I know I kind of cried when I was younger. I did have somewhat of a temper when I
Mhm.
was younger, but I think it was in the training of you
Mhm.
know you there's a responsibility or there's something intrinsic in you that is excellent,
Mhm.
and because of that, figure out how you're going to respond. You must be respectful.
Mhm.
They didn't prescribe a way of being. They
Mhm.
didn't prescribe a personality, I would say. They
Mhm.
prescribed a way of being, which
Yeah.
is being your full self, Christian and all of those things. So that's what I teach my children. I mean, there's specific principles that I reinforce,
Mhm.
you know, daily in
Mhm.
with them so that they are whole because I don't
Yeah.
want them to have pieces missing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. I mean, you are really qualified to share it. since you have kids every year,
Me qualify? I don't know. I mean,
I said you have kids every year,
Mhm. Every single day.
every single year.
I locked the office door for this meeting. I locked them out. I told them, look.
Awesome. I just got a flashback to your wedding. Remember, eh, very beautiful wedding,
Yeah.
UIC. Yeah, I just the flashback just came.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's move ahead in this discussion. Um, so now you are a mother of 10, right? Or how many?
No, 3. A mother of 3.
Yeah, so you're a mother of, for me, it just seems like, 4.
Are you prophesying? I hope not. I hope that wasn't a prophecy, but
All right. So now, so you are a professional. I mean, you play so many roles, right? I want you to bring all those things, your upbringing, your value of culture, and all that, to the question of purpose, your why for life. Like, what have you, what conclusions have you come to about your why for existence, right? Yeah. So tell us about that. And how did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah. So my why isn't necessarily tied to a particular career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm committed to healthcare, so I'm never leaving healthcare. I've said that. I'm never leaving healthcare. I'm committed to it. I'm fully, you know, I'm privileged to have been able to work exactly in line with everything that I studied. All of my degrees are in line with what I do today, so that's a privilege. My why is really separate from that. It is whatever God has created, how he created me, why he created me, and where he placed me. My why is leverage or utilize everything that he gave me through himself and through my parents and through every person that I've met where I've learned a lesson to proliferate the principles of love, of humility, of empathy, of service, of discipline, integrity, no matter what I'm doing. So if I left HCSC and went to, some hospital, or I went somewhere else, the role changes, but the why doesn't change at all. So it's an unchanging, entity that simply manifests itself in whatever role I'm taking. And that's the same approach that I take with my children. Is I don't, the why is these are children created by God. These are children that are in tune, with their culture. They know who they are. They must speak our language. They must do these things. And they must go into the world, and they must have discipline, and they must love everyone.
Yeah.
They must have integrity. They must be truth tellers.
Yeah.
They must be able to sit in the uncomfortable feelings that come from doing something wrong. They must be able to do that. If they can't do that, then I have failed. Because only in doing that and sitting in the uncomfortable feelings when they've done something wrong can they further their humanity and continue to spread love to other people. But they also have boundaries.
Yeah.
I teach them love everyone, but here are your boundaries. In fact, I teach them body autonomy. I started teaching them at age 3. Here's your,
private,
I'm not going to say it here, but
I teach them public, yeah.
Exactly, from age 3. And I reinforced it consistently. I said, you have body autonomy. Here's what you do if someone tries to, and they recite it back to me. What do you do? Punch them, kick them, scratch their eyeball, and I teach them mental autonomy. So when you're in school, you are entitled to your mental and your intellectual, you have your own intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you choose, whatever people tell you, that's fine, but you have your own and you're entitled to it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't owe anyone.
Yeah.
You don't owe anyone to, you don't have to buy into anyone's ideology because you know yours.
Yeah.
So I teach them that autonomy and boundaries, because only when you teach the boundaries along with the love and the empathy, because if you don't teach the boundaries, when you're teaching love and empathy, you're teaching codependency or, people pleasing and all that other, those other things that could lead to, being either abused or mistreated, which of course they're going to get mistreated in this life,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's the combination of those things
Mm.
that, and of course, reinforcing it as often as I can until it becomes part of them,
Yeah.
that I think is hopefully, gonna help them.
Right. Well, they are telling you that you should read Principles. It's a very good book. I've read it. Ray Dalio's book. Say you have a great mind. I told you guys. So
Um,
you should read it.
thanks.
That you're even saying it better than him. So
Huh?
yeah.
I cannot vouch for that.
You don't know who is talking. This is Doctor Onyinye herself. Well, you have a
I
doctor,
cannot vouch. I am not
that means
credentialed.
that stretch the boundaries of knowledge. For you to have a doctor, let's say some things, for doctors, right? For us to have that doctor behind our name, that means we extended the boundaries of knowledge
Yeah,
beyond what is in the literature, what has existed before. That's why
yeah.
you get it. If you get it legitimately, you have to present something that is not in the literature,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yep. You have to create. Mm-hmm.
give us our, our chops. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Wow, this is good. I love the way you are, you're just putting those things in there. So so I want you to talk about city light, leading lights, coming to leading light, city light. What has that been for you? How, I mean, sorry, what did that mean to you? Why you've been in city life for a long time, and then then you did the leading lights training too. What did that mean to you?
Yeah. So I came to City Light through my husband, Steve, who was already at City Light. And he used to always invite me to these GQs. And I'd be like, all right, fine. Um, that he would have in his house.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the small group
Mm-hmm.
setting because I'm an introvert. And I don't, as much as I love people, I like to be
Mm-hmm.
inside, like the pandemic, I don't mind,
Mm-hmm.
aside from the stress of the kids and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I wasn't outgoing, and I'm still not, but that small group setting was very helpful. I know Pastor Lumide was there,
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Bio was there. There were some people there, Ivy, some people there. So it was very comfortable, and it was a really good setting. And so we married in City Light,
Mm-hmm.
and have been going there ever since. And it's been a blessing. When I did the leading lights training, I think I was kind of emerging from a few very difficult years, just challenges. And I think it coincided with and was mainly due to my existential realizations and revelations. And, you know, so
Your,
I had
your
navigated.
dark night of the soul,
Yes, I mean, it was something I never would want to go through again, but grew a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and really had to go through that period. So when I did leading lights, I was already kind of out of that extremely challenging period.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I got most out of it was that, leading lights training forces you to really think through
Mm-hmm.
your purpose and your why.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times people are so busy in life, just doing everything. You're raising kids, you're working, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're running helter skelter
Mm-hmm.
from pillar to post, trying to get things done.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not used to introspecting, you will wake up 15 years from now and realize that all your busy running around is all for naught because you actually have not done anything,
Mm-hmm.
or you've not been investing in your purpose. You don't really know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So the leading lights training really helps you to sit down and really think critically and walk back into who you are
Mm-hmm.
and apply name to characteristic.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help define
Mm-hmm.
who you are,
Yeah.
even
Mm-hmm.
if you already know it, like I went into it, I'm like, yeah, I know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the exercise of doing it
Yeah.
that really crystallizes a lot of concepts and a lot of things. And so it's such a beneficial activity. You have to, or a beneficial training.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to invest and say, I truly want to know. And I'm not too proud and I'm not too knowledgeable
Mm-hmm.
to learn.
Yeah.
And if you go into it with that mindset, again, humility comes back into the picture,
Mm-hmm.
you will grow
Yeah.
and you will learn things that you didn't realize. And you will have the opportunity to have other people
Mm-hmm.
share things about you or to you that would help enhance your understanding of yourself and your understanding of other people.
Yeah.
So it's really a cohort of people like growing, committed to growth together,
Yeah.
committed to learning together, committed to walking in their purpose together,
Mm-hmm.
um, in line, in aligned with God and not
Yeah.
necessarily aligned to, because a lot of times people say they're walking in their purpose is really, I'm walking on this road and I'm walking in parallel to somebody else and
Mm-hmm.
judging or determining my progress based on the other person's road. That's not really purpose, because again, your purpose is
Mm-hmm.
disconnected. It may very well be. Sometimes it's completely in the role that you're doing, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's completely disconnected from the work you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone said, I want to, pick rocks and put them from here to here as that's my purpose career, but it's in the joy and the commitment and the diligence of doing it that you're living that purpose, even if your role is to pick rocks and put them from here to here.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, one of the biggest benefits of the leading light training. It's
Yeah.
so valuable.
Thank you for sharing that. I always love to hear that from those who have participated in it. And for those who are watching us, you're watching us from different countries now. The Leading Lights training is coming back with a bang. We took a little break because of the pandemic to do some work on it. We are working on different streams of it right now. We have one coming up just in February of next year, 2021, called Purpose in the Workplace. We're actually developing a complete leading light curriculum for people that are in the workplace. That people anywhere, it doesn't matter what religion, whatever, it's very neutral, but it's the same principle. We have a team of people building it right now, working on it. We meet constantly, and we're going to be having a pilot of it in December. So watch out for that. We're also developing leading light for schools, for high schools, where we're going to be taking it, going to working with the CPS and some other school organization. We already have requests from even other countries like the Ministry of Education in Lagos State for us to develop stuff. So we're working on that also. So watch out for that. Leading light for the schools. So we're trying to create, different aspects of it that apply to different contexts and settings. Because we are all, no matter what we do, if we are where God wants us to be, we're called to be light in there. We're called to make an impact. We all have a why. And that why has to do with us making this world better than we met it. So that's what we do at the Light Development Center. That's what the Leading Light is about. So I'm always excited to hear from people like Onyinye, making an impact in a sphere of influence through their unique purpose. So let's go further. Quick, tell me, just dream and just let us know, what impact do you want to make with your calling, with where you are right now, what you are doing? Just dream with us, like 5-10 years. What do you want to see? I know you have some things for Africa. You have some. Just tell us about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I am heavily, into data and analytics and technology and healthcare and the intersection of those three. And I've always been in that space. And so here, what I envision is really leveraging that sphere to ensure that people have better access to healthcare and healthcare resources and have, and experience improved health outcomes, and they have better representation and they have better, their providers are better able to coordinate their care effectively, and that somehow in some way that enhances their lives. That's, here. Back
Mm-hmm.
home, it's similar. It's the same. It's
Mm-hmm.
data, it's technology, it's analytics, and it's healthcare outcomes. It's improving the experience of those that otherwise, you know, experience inequities and
Mm-hmm.
disparities.
Yeah.
It is seeing the space for innovation back
Mm-hmm.
home in Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
seeing the space for innovation and moving into that space
Mm-hmm.
to have that impact, and just being who I am there.
Mm-hmm.
And however that manifests, whether it's, through, you know, some, innovation, hackathon, startup, boots on ground, going on foot from hospital to hospital, whatever that looks like, it's, the purpose is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Whose life is going to be improved because God's purpose was there,
Mm-hmm.
because I chose to align with God's purpose and not, kind of do my own thing.
Yeah.
So that's really my vision, just having impact. Nigeria has always, aside from the current challenges and the challenges that we've been seeing, I've always been inclined to have an impact, back home. And I know that that's going to be one of the things that I do as my career expands and my influence expands, because there's a reason for expansion of influence, and it's not for my own sake, and it's not for additional credentials. It's really for that
That's
impact.
that's a powerful thing you just said. And I would like you to speak a little bit more about it before I ask you my, final question. Um, there's something we call it stewardship of influence.
Mm,
You made a statement. You said there's a reason for influence. Because a lot of people don't know that sometimes what you do, right, is to get your influence so that you can actually fulfill your why. Right.
yes,
You
yes.
go into sports and then suddenly everybody knows about you.
Hmm.
You are Michael Jordan or you are this or that,
Hmm. Hmm.
LeBron James and all that. And then
Hmm.
through that influence, you can actually start becoming I use that word transcendental, like beyond
Hmm.
yourself. You are now
Hmm.
living for others, you're now fulfilling the why and all that. So when you
Hmm.
mentioned that, that just, brought that to my mind. Can you talk about, like your opportunities right now, like where you are right now, the opportunities that your position affords you, and what will building influence in that role or in your capacity, what will it afford you, what will allow you to be able to do? Just talk about stewardship of influence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It is a responsibility and it is a service.
Mm-hmm.
In my current role, it's a large, highly matrixed organization. But my role and the place where God has put me is a role that is very high visibility, very, front and center. Um, and so in order to expand the realm of that influence, there are some practical things that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need a certain title. That's just the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's particularly in a hierarchical organization. Sometimes you need the doctor, you need
Mm-hmm.
the PhD,
Yeah.
because that is everyone is not on the same wavelength and on the same plane, and people are different. And so
Mm-hmm.
for some people, the way that you'll get their attention is by having the doctor there or being, VP or whatever your title is. And
Mm-hmm.
through that attention, see, all you need to do is capture attention. You don't
Yeah.
have to like come through your whole, uh, you know,
Something just happened to your
sorry, one
sound.
second. You don't have to have
But
everything packaged there at first pass.
hello, Onyinye, something happened to your sound.
Oh,
It
okay.
just went down suddenly.
Hold on.
Yeah. I think something
Is
is
that better?
yeah. Now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So you were repeat what you were saying.
Yeah, so you don't have to bring the whole package there. You just have to. Oh, okay.
Okay, somebody is calling you or something, all right?
Yeah. It's my it's my boss.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna let you go. Your boss is calling. So I have one more question for you after this. So let's, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, um, okay. Yeah, so you just need to get someone's attention. Once you got their attention, then you're able to, that's when you can start manifesting and having the influence. You don't need to have everything and have capture everybody. You just need to spark attention. Sometimes it's those practical things that help you spark that attention. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, those things open doors. The doctor behind your name or whatever just open some doors for you, and then once you enter the door, then you can actually make the impact that you want to make, right?
Exactly.
So, and
Exactly.
your position, there's this biblical passage where this lady, she started with, was beautiful Esther, right? Beautiful and everything. They had a beauty contest. She won, married the king. So she was enjoying the palace and everything, but she didn't know that the reason why she was in the palace was because the people of Israel, they were going to, there was going to be a threat of, the kind of Holocaust, towards them. And she was the one that was going to be able to use her influence with the king to preserve and save our nation. So while she was there, she knew she had the influence and all that, but she didn't know the purpose for it. And it took a mentor of hers, her uncle Mordecai, to tell her, call her to her senses. Say, don't you know that you are in that place for such a time as this? That if you continue to use your influence right now for the very purpose, God will raise up somebody else that will do it, but you are going to be the one that will lose out. So I just think that God puts us in all these positions.
Yep.
And he's going to put more Christians in all these positions. And don't just get to the position and just get lost. Don't get there and just get lost with, the whore that, is all around you, or the wealth that you got from it, or the accolades and all that. Realize that you are there for a reason. There's a why God puts you there. And then make sure you leverage that to fulfill that why. All right?
Absolutely.
So, very good. Let me ask you the last question, because I know you have to get back to work. Tell me, looking through your life, what you have learned from God and all that, give us some principles that you live your life on. I know you already talked about some, just give us, like 5.
Yeah. I would say, again, first is integrity. And in that integrity is the God's presence and the why. So there's integrity, body, mind, character, and integrity, which manifests in character. So those two are kind of hand in hand. Then discipline. Discipline is critical. It is absolutely essential to commit to living the life that you want to live. You have to be disciplined. The next is truth telling. Again, radical commitment to the truth, even if it kills you. That's a key principle. The other is, empathy, because that to me is the foundation of being able to actually help someone, is if you truly can empathize with them. And that requires listening, not just with your ears, but listening to what people aren't saying, listening to the words that are not being spoken, listening to the undertones of how people communicate in order to get the full message, and then be able to respond or help or just listen. And then I'm committed to living a great life. I'm committed to it. It's not something that I think, oh, I'm going to be suffering. No, I'm committed to living the life that I want to live. And that means I do the things that I want to do. I commit to the things that I want to do, and I don't let anything, keep me from doing the things that I truly want to do. So I'm committed to living a good life. And for me, that means doing all of those things and having a lot of fun, despite challenges, with issues, problems, whatever it is. I'm committed to living a great life. And so I'm committed to being joyful and happy. It doesn't mean I'm happy all the time, because I'm not, but I'm committed to it. And because I'm committed to it, that's the life that I have.
Yeah. We may not be happy all the time, but we can be joyful, because joy is a choice,
Yes.
We choose, happiness can be based on happenings. You can look at things that make you sad. But joy is from within, and we can always make sure that we stay in that point. Wow, thank you for sharing. Is there anything that you want to speak to those who are watching right now? Like anything on your mind that you would like to say, to them, just to encourage somebody watching?
Yeah, I mean, first, thank you, Pastor Lan, for having me. I consider it a privilege, so thank you. And then to everyone, you know, I don't know if I have the words to say it, but you just have to be and allow God to be. And there's a lot of details in life, and maybe I'm saying it because I tend to be, a big picture thinker. There are a lot of details in life that at the end of the day, they're core principles that if you commit to them, you will be fine, no matter what. And so that would be the encouragement that I have. Hopefully it's encouraging. Sometimes, for what it's worth, that's what I truly believe. So I share that with everyone and encourage everyone.
Yeah, sometimes encouragement is you throw out a challenge, you challenge people and they get, sometimes what we need is a challenge. Sometimes we are in a rut, right? We just need to speak to us. I think summary of Onyinye's everything that she's talked about today, I think we can summarize it with living a principled life, like a principled life, a life. You spoke about truth telling, right? Truth telling. I mean, you spoke about how your parents instilled that, finding who you are, being true to who you are, and going into the world, being assured of who you are, and then applying that to, everything that you do. And you made also a very, very powerful statement about purpose. I actually, I wrote that in the Leading Light workplace that we're doing. Purpose is portable in the sense that your why is very portable. So, your why can function in this sphere. For example, right now, if you take it from healthcare and we move you into another field, it doesn't change your why. Your why can transfer to that place because you are using that sphere, that field that you are to fulfill the why. That sphere is not necessarily the why, where you are. You might be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. That's not your why.
Yeah.
Just, your medium, but that medium can change. That's why you can move from being a doctor to politics or move from to something else, right? You can transfer it into parenthood and all that. So it's very portable. And that was something powerful that you mentioned today. So thank you. So please, everybody, let's appreciate Onyinye as we end. Say they like your commitment and discipline. Yeah, she's very disciplined, She runs and jogs and, she makes all of us feel like couch potatoes.
Not intentional.
And I know Florence is also she's into exercise too. I see all the exercise thing that she puts on Facebook and all that. This is Tim listening to the words that are not being spoken. So many words are unspoken, but it's our duty to sit and feel the community. And this is our leading light leader for South Africa, actually. So he was the one that actually brought us to South Africa for the training. Yeah, so it's part of national leadership. So Tim, good to see you. So different people. So Claire, good to see Claire too. Claire is from South Africa too, leading light there. So we have people from Zambia also watching and all that. So Nigeria, I see Mubo. Dero Mubo, she was commenting. I've not seen her in almost 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but we were in college together, and then we used to talk a lot then. We share stuff, and I think she's in England or so. I'm not even sure where she is. But it's just good to see everybody. Just joining us and making comments. I believe that it's been a wonderful time. So
thank you.
We're going to have to release Dr. Enyia. I'm sorry, Dr.
Daniel, formerly known as Enyia.
Dr. Enyia Daniel. Let's Steve calls with Pastor La. What is going on? So Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Say hello to your kids. I love them. Tell
I
them that
will.
I miss them. I've not seen them in a while.
Yes.
Maybe one of these days we should do a Zoom call. Just
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I will.
yeah, say
Thank
hello.
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
have a great time at work. All right. So
I will.
we're gonna round up, and then round up with everybody. Then we'll go
Okay.
backstage. So
Okay.
everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. We have one more for this week before Thanksgiving. It's gonna be powerful. I'm gonna be on with a systems analyst, one of the most powerful systems analysts that I know. Person of SC Loza is going to be a very, very powerful Light 360 tomorrow. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Power packed. So thank you everybody for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. Please don't forget, like my YouTube. Those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share the Facebook video, like it on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are watching, please. And also, yes, I forgot to mention that. How do they reach out to you? Some people, they like your mind.
Oh,
like maybe
um,
talk to you and share ideas or that.
can you share my
Yeah,
email?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Your email is
Onyia at Gmail.
yeah. So yep. So you can reach out to her by email or find her on. I know you are not really a social media person, you know.
I'm trying. I've
Yeah.
logged into Instagram and I logged
Okay. Let me
into
let me
Twitter.
tell you the one that you should be on. You should be on Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah. You should be on Twitter. Twitter is actually a
yeah.
place where you can disseminate great ideas of all of them. Of course, I love Instagram and all that, but I love Twitter the most. I spend most of my time on Twitter, like when it comes
Yeah.
to social media. So
I'll work on it.
there's a whole lot of ideas. And Amara and I, we basically interact on Twitter
Yeah.
mainly. That's where we
Yeah.
do. Twitter is so short, but powerful stuff. Sometimes there's a lot of fluff on Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, and all that. They all
Yeah.
have their purpose. But if you want to talk about intellectual stuff and all that,
Mhm.
Twitter
Mhm.
is a good place to be. And of course, LinkedIn. But I'm talking about things not related to work. So
Yeah.
I will be waiting for you on Twitter.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So everybody, bye. We will see you.
Thank you. Thank you.